Solargraphy is long exposure photography that captures the sun's movement over time. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a pinhole solargraphy camera. First, let's cover the basics of pinhole cameras. Light enters through a tiny hole, which acts as the aperture of the camera and projects an image onto the opposite side of the box where the film is stored. In daylight, a pinhole camera usually exposes standard film within a few minutes. However, we're trying to directly film the sun over a period lasting from weeks to months. We'll need to use a type of film that exposes much slower than others. The type of film that I'll be using is called Sunprint paper. It's a type of photosensitive paper that changes color when exposed to sunlight. It's designed to be used in craft projects to create an outline of an object. However, Sunprint paper's photosensitivity and long exposure times make it a great option for solargraphy projects. Also, Sunprint paper is extremely easy to develop. After taking a picture, you just soak the paper in water for about 1 minute and then let it dry flat. The supplies and tools you'll need to make this camera are Sunprint paper, a film canister, a thumbtack or a pin, scissors, a ruler, and some sandpaper. It's also helpful to have double-sided tape and duct tape. I'll include links in the description for any less common items. The design of the camera is pretty simple. The film canister has a pinhole in its center and a piece of Sunprint paper is taped to the interior side opposite from the hole. The entire camera is only about 5.5 centimeters tall and 3 centimeters wide. Now let's start building the camera. First, we need to create the pinhole. Take the cap off of the film canister and mark the middle of the camera. Then, use a thumbtack or a pin to create a small hole in the canister. Finally, use sandpaper to make sure that the surface around the hole is smooth. Next, we'll need to cut out the Sunprint paper. Since the film will be curved, I usually make the film's length around 70% of the canister circumference and the height around half a centimeter shorter than the canister. You can find the circumference by measuring the diameter of the film canister and multiplying that by pi. 70% of the circumference on this canister comes out to be around 6.5 centimeters, and the height comes out to be 4.5. Working all the math isn't that necessary, just make sure that the film covers a lot of the inside of the camera. Now that we have the measurements down, we can take a sheet of sun paper out of its protective bag. Then, use a ruler to mark where you'll cut the paper. Once you finish cutting, insert the paper into the canister with the blue side facing the pinhole. It's best to use some type of tape to secure the film. Make sure that the film does not cover the pinhole. Finally, put the cap back on the canister. If you're not going to use the camera immediately, it's a good idea to cover the pinhole with a light-proof material like electrical tape or tinfoil. Try to find a location to place your camera that has a good view of the sun throughout most of the day. Also, it's best to place it in an uncrowded area so that it doesn't get stolen, moved, or even mistaken for a potential bomb. When you're setting up the camera, make sure it's secure and won't shake or fall over. It's a good idea to use zip ties or tape to secure the camera. Once you have your camera secured in the position that you want it, take the tape covering off to begin filming. Then, leave the camera and wait. You should probably let the photo expose between weeks and months. Exposing for a longer time means that you'll see more change in the sun's path and also brighter scenery. Here's the result of a 2-month exposure that I took. Once enough time passes, retrieve the camera. If you take the paper out of the camera instantly, you likely won't see that much detail. That's because the paper still needs to be developed. Luckily, developing the photos is very easy. Simply soak the paper in water for about 1 minute and then let the paper dry flat. Once again, make sure to be careful to avoid bright lights while developing the paper. After it dries, you should be able to see a lot more detail. Since bright light is depicted as black on the film, it's very helpful to invert the image. The easiest way to do this is to photograph or scan the paper and invert it digitally. You can invert the image using an app, computer software, or one of the free websites in the description. Also, you can flip the image horizontally since the pinhole camera creates a reversed photo. After that, just save the image and you should be set. Since you'll likely have leftover materials, it's a good idea to make multiple cameras. That way, you can experiment with different exposure times and locations. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, just leave a comment and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks for watching!